In this video, we're going to tell you about U.S. infestation of the Formosan above-ground termites, provide research how we believe this destructive insect entered America, provide Everglade facts, and we're going to have some fun. American subterranean termite can have several 100,000 termites live underground and travel up into the home through mud shelter tubes. The new invader, the Formosan termite, can have millions of termites and only needs humidity, warmth, and lives in the walls of your home. Both termites produce more than $100 million of damage per year in the United States of America. The Formosan termite, which originated from China, was transported to Formosa Taiwan, where it got its name. It was then transported to Hawaii, Puerto Rico, and finally Cuba. Today, the Formosan termite has invaded the USA and is eating up our homes. It is this reason we went to search for the above-ground Formosan termite and explain how it entered the U.S. This breed of termite needs warmth and humidity, so we traveled to the Everglades of Florida. We booked a Super 8 hotel in Fort Myers, which sparingly provided toilet paper, towels, and had an out-of-order elevator. We were on a budget because we personally paid for this trip with no government grants available, unless you wanted to study methane gas emissions from dairy cows, paint Chinook salmon on Alaskan airplanes, study California tattoo removal, or train Chinese prostitutes to drink responsibly. Our first stop was Fort Myers Beach, where we talked to several locals who combed the sandy beach with metal detectors and rented out beach chairs. They thought termites were some type of swamp flu, so we decided to head closer to the Everglades. We headed down US 41, also known as the Tamiami Trail, which was constructed in 1928. This road acted like a dam in the Everglades, blocking the natural flow of fresh water from Lake Okeechobee, which caused damage to fish production, wade bird nesting sites, and other plant life. Without the southerly flowing fresh water, salt water seeped further inland, damaging the Everglades. Luckily, the government stepped in and added bridges, tall fences, and lowered the evening speed limits to help protect wildlife and provide a better fresh water flow to the Everglades. As we traveled on this highway, which was full of alligators and conveniently called Alligator Alley, we stopped slightly short of Everglades City in a town called Estrus, Florida, to check out the Koreshan Unity Settlement, which was once run by Dr. Cyrus Teed, a cult leader who convinced hundreds of people in the late 1800s to live in a communistic community. This cult leader believed that the earth was hollow and the sun, moon, 7 planets, and universe all existed on the inside of the earth. We inspected all 5 of these 100-year-old Koreshan structures and only found a few red ant colonies. We continued our journey toward the Everglades and stopped at the Naples Swamp Buggie Racetrack. We were very lucky because they were having their spring Swamp Buggie race. Swamp buggies, also known as tumblebugs, were used in the Everglades in the 1930s because they traveled dry land, shallow mud, sand, shallow water, through dense vegetation, over logs, and they floated. This mile of mud, or 7/8 of a mile round track with one diagonal lane through the middle, had 3 hidden deep mud drops, with the largest called the Sippy Hole, where some buggies can stall or get stuck. Before the race started, thousands of people listened to a Southern boy sing the national anthem, followed by a 30-second Christian prayer, and finally a plea to the U.S. government to stop taking the locals' land. The U.S. government does own 30% of all American land, and now we have foreign investors who have recently purchased over 2% of American agricultural land. From our research, it appears Everglade areas have been acquired by the government to help preserve the Everglade ecosystem, unlike other areas that have been acquired for coal, oil, gas, uranium, forests, and farmland. While at the race, one of the Swamp Buggie beauty queens said we should charter a boat and travel to the 10,000 Everglade Islands to look for these termites. We passed many tourist trap airboat rides that require air protection, and we ended up at the furthest boat rental area in the Everglades on Chokoloskee Island. Our captain was a fifth-generation native named Captain Corey Mack. He took us to several Everglade Islands to search for the termite. We did find the famous outlaw Mr. Watson's place, where a century ago he manufactured sugarcane. He would hire people to work, and then when they asked for payment, he killed them. After killing 50-plus people, he was gunned down by 33 bullets from the locals of Chokoloskee. We found an original Model A Ford car, and we inspected the last private campsite, which is still owned by a federal judge. We saw endangered species like the bald eagle, the roseate spoonbill, several manatees, and some fun jumping dolphin. Our last final stop was the famous Smallwood Trading Post, or the Ole Indian Trading Post and Museum, which is now a historical site. The museum had old artifacts, old medicine bottles, old candy boxes, old cooking utensils, and an old refrigerator that ran on gas. We noticed a wax figure of the original owner of the trading post named Ted Smallwood. In 1891, Ted Smallwood started the post office box 310 and used the store for local island gatherings and mail sorting. Ted Smallwood would trade with the Indians and with Cuba. He received mail from the locals and delivered mail to Marko Island and other Gulf cities. While examining the post office area, we noticed it was made of old wood mail and trading crates. Looking more closely, we noticed structural damage done by Formosan termites because of the fecal pelts that were left behind in their destructive galleries. Ted Smallwood may have obtained these Formosan termites from Cuba in these wood crates. These termites were then transported to Marko Island and other Gulf cities through the mail service. So now you know the story. China, Taiwan, Japan, Hawaii, Cuba, and Ted Smallwood's trading post in Chokoloskee, Florida, Marko Island, and then the Gulf cities, with heavy infestation now in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Now, 100 years later, this Formosan termite has started to infest the northern states of America. Ohio has already had numerous Formosan termite infestations. Now you have to wonder, is this Marko Vovk character for real? Did Marko just solve the U.S. Formosan termite invasion problem without a $10 million grant in 3 days and under $1,000? Did he explain all this in less than 1,000 words and not a 50,000-page governmental document? Well, if you think you have a better story, go ahead and put it in the comment section. For now, this is the only story in the U.S., and I'm sticking with it.
Marko, you shouldn't go by the alligator.
My what?
You shouldn't go by the alligator.
Why? He's a nice little alligator.
Yeah, a nice little alligator, and I'll cut your hand off.
He's a nice alligator.
And I'll bite your hand.
You think?
I think so.
He's too little.
No, yeah.
And then,
He'll just eat one of your fingers. Marko, come on.
No.
No, I don't think so.